A flipping strategy that I've been doing more and more lately is a technique I've coined the takedown method. Now, simple as I can describe it, the takedown method is when you buy a property off market without a predetermined buyer, and then without doing any work to it, you immediately list it on market and resell it for a profit. There are three primary reasons why I'm currently doing the takedown method more and more. First, it's easier and faster than traditional fix and flip because you're not rehabbing. Second, since you're the actual buyer, you completely avoid any wholesaling regulation, which in time, most states, if not all, will adopt some form of regulation. But perhaps the biggest reason of all is if you do it right, you can earn 2 to 4 times more profit than traditional wholesaling. Now, to really help you learn the takedown method well, I did a 5-part video series where I explain each step in detail. I'll put the playlist link to that video series in the description below for you. I also created a free Takedown Method Quick Start Kit with all of the resources you need to get your first takedown deal in the next 30 days. To get the free download, just go to freetakedownkit.com. So with that in mind, what I want to do on this video is break down 5 steps to doing the takedown method using a recent takedown deal we just flipped in Polk City, Florida as our case study. Now, had we assigned the deal doing traditional wholesaling, we would have only made a $10,000 fee. Instead, by doing the takedown method, we made a net profit of $41,000. That's 4 times as much profit on the same deal. So pay close attention to this video because I'm going to show you exactly how we did it. But first, if you're new here, I'm Jerry Norton. I make millions of dollars a year wholesaling and flipping houses. And here on my YouTube channel, I show you how to do the same. So if you want to be a flipping genius like me and live your dream life, subscribe to my channel and watch my videos. The first step to the takedown method is actually the same as traditional wholesaling, and that is to find a distressed off-market property that you can acquire at a discount. Now, one of the best ways to find motivated sellers is using PropWire. PropWire has over 157 million distressed seller leads nationwide. Best of all, it's absolutely free to search and download as many leads as you want. Just go to joinpropwire.com to do your first search. Now, in this deal in Florida, the seller urgently wanted to move out of state with family and did not want to deal with agents. He wanted a fast, as-is, convenient cash offer. My business partner, Lance Williams, set an appointment and met the seller at his house. We offered him everything he wanted. And that brings us to step 2, which is to secure the deal at the right buy price. Now, this step is very important. Just like with wholesaling and flipping, with the takedown method, we make our money when we buy. It only works if we secure the deal at the right buy price. The good news is the takedown buy formula is very simple to calculate. It's just 70% of the current as-is value of the property. That's it. Now, using recent sold comparables or comps in the same neighborhood in similar condition, we determined that the as-is value was $400,000. So 70% of $400,000 is $280,000, which is the price the seller agreed to. Now, the reason why it has to be at 70% of the as-is value is because when we resell it, we need to allocate or budget 30% to 3 different categories. First, we need to budget approximately 10% for what I call soft cost. Now, soft costs include the trash out and cleaning and any minor repairs. Soft costs include closing fees when we buy it and again when we sell it. Soft costs include commissions to agents when we resell it. And soft costs also includes financing or the cost of capital to buy the property. Second, we need to budget approximately 10% of the as-is value for profit. That's how much we want to make when the deal's all done and we resell it and after all of the cost. And then the remaining 10% is our oh shit budget, just in case things don't go according to plan, which is the reality of doing deals. Whenever you buy and sell real estate, there are some unknown things that can happen. Maybe you need to do some additional minor repairs that a buyer requests. Maybe it takes longer to sell and you incur more holding costs. Maybe it sells for less than you planned. And as a matter of fact, all 3 of those things happened on my deal. We ended up having to fix the AC unit and do a few other minor things that the buyer requested. We actually had our first buyer canceled during due diligence and had to get a new buyer at a lower price, which also caused delays and additional holding costs. Unforeseens like that are normal, so expect them and plan on them, which is why we factor in 10% for unforeseens. In the event everything goes perfect, the 10% oh shit budget just slides over to the you're a flipping genius profit budget, and you make 20% profit instead of 10%. So let's look at the actual numbers on my deal. Again, we determined that the current as-is value was $400,000. So we bought it for 70% or $280,000. After we purchased the property, we cleaned it and we immediately listed the property with an agent, intentionally low at $380,000, hoping to get an over asking price offer, and it worked. We got multiple showings and immediately accepted an offer for $390,000, but after a few days during inspection, they backed out, so we put it back on the market and ended up accepting a full price offer for $380,000. Now, our total time on market was only 13 days. Then we ended up spending $12,500 on minor repairs, including an AC unit, the clean out, removing a tree and 2 sheds, cutting the grass on 3 acres, some minor electrical and plumbing repairs, and a few other miscellaneous things that the buyer requested. Now, our combined closing costs on the purchase and sale came to $12,488. We paid a total of $13,300 in commissions to agents on the resell, and our total funding for 100% of the capital to do the deal came to $20,520. That means the net profit after everything came to $41,192. Okay, now let's look at the breakdown from a different perspective. Because we sold it for $380,000, the buy price of $280,000 was at 74% of the sale price. Our total soft costs, including closing fees, commissions, funding, and repairs, came to $58,808, or 15.5% of the sale price, which means our profit of $41,192 was at 10.8% of the sale price. So basically, we went over budget on our purchase by 4% and over budget on our soft costs and repairs by about 6%, which again, that's why you budget 10% for unforeseens. But here's what's interesting about this deal. Even though we used up our entire oh shit budget, we still made a profit of $41,000, which is 4 times what we would have made doing a traditional wholesale on this deal. Now, if you think that was brilliant, leave a comment and say, way to go, Jerry, you're a flipping genius. One final thought on step 2, securing the deal at 70%. Make sure when doing the buy formula, the as-is value is adjusted for a fast sale. The takedown method only works if you're in and out of the deal very fast. My goal is 60 days or less. That means you want to secure your buyer on the back end in less than 3 weeks. On my deal, we would have been under 60 days, but we lost our first buyer and our second buyer had to extend closing an additional 10 days because his lender wasn't ready to close. Because of those delays, we pushed our total time in the deal to 71 days. Now, as you can see, I pay close attention to the numbers and the percentages. Be sure to use my takedown calculator, which ensures you're factoring in all of the correct numbers. And you get that for free when you download my takedown kit at freetakedownkit.com. Now, once you secure the deal at 70%, step 3 is to secure funding. Remember, you're taking it down and buying it, so you're going to need access to capital. Fortunately, there are specialized lenders called hard money lenders for doing short-term flips, and they typically require you put 10 to 20% down on the purchase. That means if you're buying a property for $280,000, most lenders would require $28,000 to $56,000 down in cash plus closing fees. Now, if you don't have the funds available that are not covered by the hard money lender, you could borrow it from private money, or what we call PML for short. A PML is an individual who lends their personal funds on real estate deals. Now, I did a video that explains how to combine hard money and private money to get 100% funding. I'll put the link to that video in the description below for you. The other option is to use my funding program. Now, I currently offer 100% funding for double closing wholesale deals, and we're expanding that program to include takedown deals. Just go to usejerryscash.com to learn more. We're also accepting takedown deals in my Finder program. So if you find a good takedown deal that qualifies, I'll buy it and pay you $10,000 Finder fee. Now, if that sounds exciting, go to my10kcheck.com to learn more. Once you secure funding, step 4 is pretty easy. Close and purchase the property. Prior to closing, you'll need to line up property insurance. On the day of closing, you'll need to schedule a trash out if it needs it. I usually budget a few $1,000s for minor repairs. Then take updated pictures and it's ready to resell. On my deal, we had it ready to relist in a few days. That takes us to step 5, which is to list it for sale with a real estate agent. Now, listing with an agent is how you get the highest price because on-market gets the most exposure. Doing so gets your property on the MLS, which in turn rolls over to Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com. The key with this step is to only pay 1% for the listing and then budget 3% for the buyer's agent side. Since you're selling it as is and it's priced to sell quickly, it's not hard to find an investor-friendly agent that will take on your listing for 1%. And I did a video that explains how to get a 1% listing agent. I'll put that video in the description below for you. And finally, let me share with you a tip about how to decide if you should do the takedown method on your next deal. My rule of thumb is to only do a takedown if I can at least double my profit compared to a traditional wholesale. So before deciding to take it down, see how much you can dispo the deal doing a traditional assignment. For example, if you can wholesale it for $15,000, don't do a takedown unless you can at least make $30,000. Like I said, in my wholesale business, if the takedown profit is not at least double the profit, we'll just do a traditional wholesale. For example, recently I did a deal in North Carolina where we had a cash buyer for $62,000. But we decided to take it down instead and ended up making $120,000. I did a video all about that deal, so next watch that video so you can see the breakdown and how we made $120,000 on one deal without doing any of the work. Watch that now and I'll see you on the next video.